Hi students, this is your lecture for assignment number 3 for biology class, spring of 2020. We're going to kind of do this like it was in your notebooks, but you do not need to write this down in your notes. I will provide this information to you as well. So the plan for this lecture is we're going to go over the inheritance of traits with multiple alleles, and then I will give you some description of an assignment that you're going to work on. So to begin with, what are alleles? If you watch the video for assignment number 2, the lady said that alleles are different versions of a gene. The lady on the video said that they're like flavors of ice cream. So in general, what we've been looking at are traits that have 2 different alleles. So with the pea plants could have 2 copies of the allele, the gene for tall, 2 copies for short, 1 copy for short, 1 copy for tall, and there weren't any other options. But in a lot of situations, there are actually multiple different alleles that are possible in a population. Each individual can only have 2 copies, but there may be multiple different kinds in the population. So one of the good things was all of Gregor Mendel's traits that he was looking at just had 2 alleles. That made it a lot easier for him. So all of Gregor Mendel's traits that he looked at had 2 alleles and made it easier. Okay, but there are traits that have multiple alleles. So let's talk specifically. The classic example is blood type. So if any of you know what your blood type is, this can be really personal. I do know that there are 2 different things you trace from looking at blood type. There's the ABO blood typing. So you might have blood type A, you might have blood type B, you might have blood type O, you might have blood type AB. So that's ABO blood type. That's what we're talking about. There's also the RH group, and that's the positive or negative. And the RH group does not function multiple alleles, but the ABO inheritance does follow multiple alleles. So humans have 3 different alleles for blood type. So there is blood type big I, that's a capital I, capital A, but it needs to be a superscript, a floating A. Let me see if I can remember how to do that. There we go. I need to get out of that mode now. So big IA, that's the allele for blood type A. That makes sense. And you'll see in just a minute why, or you'll see why there's a big IA. There's also big IB, and that equals blood type B. And let me make this a floating B again. And there is little I. I gotta make autocorrect keeps making it. There we go. Blood type O. So there's a reason here why they used big I's and little i's. If you think back to our standard genetics, capital letters are for dominant traits, lowercase letters are for recessive traits. So in this situation, you have 2 dominant traits and 1 recessive trait. So when we're talking about this, we're going to talk about different phenotypes and their matching genotypes. So I'm going to insert a table. It's going to be 2 columns, and we'll make it just like that. So in the first column, we're going to have phenotypes. Phenotype. And if you recall, phenotype is the way it looks. And then the other column is going to be genotype. And genotype equals genes that are present So, when talking about blood types, you were talking about the phenotype. So, for example, Mr. Dean has blood type O. Okay, so what genes would give Mr. Dean blood type O? Well, when we look up here at our different ones, we know that blood type O is recessive. The only way you can have a recessive gene is if you have 2 copies of that recessive allele, that recessive trait. So for Mr. Dean to be blood type O, his genotype must be little I, little I. There are no other options. So since I know my phenotype, I know my genotype for sure. Okay? Okay, if you have blood type AB, that's another easy one. Okay? Now, blood types, in addition to having multiple alleles, they also have something called codominance. And in codominance, you actually have 2 different genes that they both show up and they don't really blend. So this type A blood and type B blood is actually a description of certain things that are sticking off your blood cells. They're much too small to see with a microscope, but they're there and they actually allow the cell to react with other things in the blood if it needs to. Oh, let's change it to little I, little I, little I. So blood type AB, you're going to have 1 copy of the allele for blood type A and 1 copy of the allele for blood type B. So if you know you have blood type AB, which is actually relatively uncommon, you know that your genotype is big IA, big IB. If you have blood type A, you actually have 2 different possible genotypes. And the only way you would know what your genotype was is if you knew your family history or you got your blood tested to find out exactly what you had. So if you have blood type A, you have 2 options. You could have big IA, and in that case you are homozygous for it. The other option you could have is you could have big IA, little I, in which case you have type A blood, but you are heterozygous for it. The last blood type you can have in the ABO blood typing is blood type B, and it works very similar to blood type A. You have 2 different options for it. You can have big IB, or you can have big IB, little I, in which case you can be either homozygous or heterozygous for that trait. Now, why do we care even about blood types? Okay, why do we even care about blood types? We care about blood types because it actually affects who you can donate blood to. So blood type O is often called the universal donor. It actually doesn't have any of these little markers on it. If you have blood type O, you can donate blood to anyone. If you have blood type AB, you can donate blood. You can receive blood from anyone, but you can only donate blood to blood type AB. What it is, your blood cells have big IA and big IB markers on the outside. If you put someone's blood type A in there, your body doesn't freak out if you have blood type AB because it's used to seeing this big IA marker. Here, let me get a picture to illustrate it. To continue, I found an image to illustrate this. If you have blood type AB, here's your blood cell. It has these tiny, tiny markers on it, but your body is used to seeing the little A markers and the little B markers, so it doesn't freak out. If type A blood gets dumped into someone's body who has type AB, their body does not freak out about it. If you have A blood and you add B blood to that, the A blood has little anti-B markers, and they actually go and immediately attack the blood type B and make a big clot. It's not good if you have serious clotting going on inside of your blood vessels. So if a person has type A blood and they put type B blood in it, that person's immune system is going to attack all those little B markers on it. They're going to say, this does not belong, this is not part of us, and they're going to attack it. So someone with A blood cannot receive B blood because their body will freak out about these little B markers. A person with A blood also cannot receive type AB blood because, again, their body will see those little B markers and freak out. But you can take type O blood and give it to a person with type A because their blood cells don't have any markers for A to freak out about. Type O blood, you can't give any of these other blood types to because any of these markers, it's going to freak out about and attack them and cause a blood clot in the body. So this ABO blood type grouping was discovered when we were starting to learn about blood transfusions, and we were trying to figure out why some people could donate blood to other people and some could not. In conclusion, I'm not going to do Punnett squares with these different blood types, but you use these letters the same way you would use the letters in any other Punnett square. If you're trying to cross someone with blood type O and blood type AB, then you would draw a Punnett square and one parent go on the top, so there'd be little I on the top, and big I A and big I B on the side, and you could fill in the chart, and what you'd actually find is if you had a parent with type O blood and a parent with type AB blood, there'd be no children with type O blood and no children with type AB blood. There would only be children with type A or type B blood, and it would be about a 50-50 split. That's it for today. I'm going to post some other materials, and you'll have an assignment to do about this as well. Thank you so much for listening.